Hey, and welcome everyone to another OSR tabletop with myself, GM Bloodworth. Although today it will probably be DM Bloodworth for quite a bit of time because I will be talking a little bit about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition. Sorry, and if I do get around to doing that, then I will of course change my hats. First day weather-wise that I can wear a t-shirt. So it was like very appropriately, I decided to put on my D&D t-shirt as well. I used to have one with the Lich from the Monster Manual 1, but unfortunately that shirt was like one of my older shirts, and that's gone now. So picked this one up last year and decided, all right, let me throw this one on there. I don't have an AD&D first edition shirt right now, so D&D basic set will have to do. Let's see. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? Good to see you. And Stephen, always good to see you as well. And so, yeah, this is going to be an open mic for the most part. However, I did leave a little bit of a tagline there that I may talk about some of the back and forth that I was having recently with at least one member of the BrOSR. And, this is something that, I think many people out there have dealt with them in, going back and forth on the same things. And, when I started looking through again the Dungeon Master's Guide, and thinking about some of the conversations I've had with a number of people who actually played at Gary Gygax's table, it just, looking through the Dungeon Master's Guide or looking through the Player's Handbook, and after all of these many decades that I've been playing this game system, I still fall back on the idea that not everything that is written in there was really meant to play at your typical gaming table. Sure, some of the rules applied to tournament play, and I'd even argue tournament play only. Some rules applied to if you were really trying to perpetuate the gaming philosophy of of its roots, the war gaming philosophy of the roots, and then others were just for your at-home casual play where you're in some cases modifying the rules, discarding other rules and whatnot. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the rules I'm talking about, but yeah, I'm going to save that for a little bit later and just talk about some other general things that are been going on. So either specific to my channel or just in general, but again, involving Dungeons and Dragons. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let me just continue saying hello to everyone who is on here. So how's it going? Chthonic Musings and Takato, always good to see you. And I will be putting out the invite very, very soon. Craig, hey, how's it going from Wales? Well, great to see you. When I hear Wales and I think of like the Welsh, and I go back to Monty Python and all the things that they used to do with the the various skits and everything like that. So yeah, don't mean to laugh at your location there, but it just brings me back to those times. Hey Roger, how's it going? So stoked, so getting ready. We're getting close, right, Roger? We're getting close to the second year of CNY RPG. That is just, my gosh, it's what, like 4 months away? No, 3 months away. 3 months away from the Central New York RPG Con. Really looking forward to that. That's one of the few conventions that I'm going to and spending the whole 2 days. So booked booked my room for Friday and Saturday night. Although I'll probably be jetting out there sometime Sunday morning. Maybe I'll get something in there. But yeah, I will have you. I will have you on the channel to talk. Talk about your convention sometime soon. Unless you want to jump in tonight and do that as well, you're certainly welcome to do so. So yeah, it is getting super close. Yeah, it's about 90 days. Let's see. Um, I'm going to a couple conventions next um, in a couple of weeks and about a month, and so I'm going to be bringing these with me here. So we are June 12th through the 14th. I will be there. Everyone out there. So if you want to want to play in some of my games, I'm running a bunch of stuff there. I have a huge gap in between my morning game and my afternoon games, or evening games, I should say, that I will be able to touch base with a lot of people and, maybe sit down and have a meal and talk and chat and doing all of those things here. So really looking forward to this. And yeah, I'm going to two conventions, and I will be bringing those. Out there to leave them on the tables for everyone to take a look at. So anyway, you got to spend that family time, right? So makes sense. So let me get the invite out there. So if anyone wants to jump in, come in from backstage, and there you go. So that is there now. So yeah, so what else has been coming up in the either the hobby or some so a huge revelation. I don't think it's a surprise to any of us here in the OSR, but Dungeons and Dragons 2024 has officially been recognized as D&D 5.5. I don't know why it took them 3 years to recognize what we immediately knew was the fact, but I guess better late. Maybe they feel that it's going to salvage the sales numbers for 2024, which I think are certainly below what any other of the editions were. With perhaps the only exception would be 4E. But anyway, so that was something that finally came up, and a few people have been pointing it out. Others have been ignoring it, and because it didn't go according to what they had been pushing all along, and it's good to see that perhaps they're starting to realize that it doesn't make sense to try to pull one over on us, and they would have been probably better off saying, yeah, this is edition 5.5 edition, and it is an enhancement, it's an improvement, it's a there are things in there that are not going to be fully compatible, backwards compatible, and so that's that's something else out there that they should have really dawned on them, and they should have realized that back in 2023 and early 2024, when they were getting so much pushback. It's like just simply admit it that it's been 10 years and you're making a new edition, that there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Why they felt that was something wrong, I have no clue. So anyway, yeah, my pleasure, Roger. Definitely going to get those out there. I mean, you sent me like 100 of them, so definitely going to go to 2 cons with that. I'm going to go to the OSR con, which is I want to say that's April 8th. I'm getting my dates wrong, most likely. And then the following weekend, which is like the 13th, 14th, and 15th, I believe, is going to be I will be at Rising Phoenix, although I'm only going to be at Rising Phoenix overnight one night. So I'll be there on Friday and Saturday, and leaving around evening time on Saturday. Really looking forward to that convention as well. So maybe I'm wrong, but when I think back to 3.0 transition to 3.5, it was more recognizable as a change that 5e is to 5.5e. That may be true. I mean, because remember 3.0, first of all, the change was much, much sooner, right? It was like less than 3 years or about 3 years when they shifted from 3.0 to 3.5. And I did not play it during that time, although I do have 3.0 and I do have 3.5. I've never done a side-by-side comparison. And I'm always looking to, I'm always looking to talk to people that are, that are more familiar with it. And from what I understand, 3.0 was not a great system, and it desperately needed 3.5 to fix it. 5e, as opposed to 5.5e, there wasn't that much of a reason for it. And they certainly didn't sell it. They certainly didn't market that, oh, you need to buy 5.5. You need to move on to this. So they kept on trying to almost hedge their bets that, a recognition that, no, people aren't going to just give up what they've been enjoying playing for the last, 8 or 9 years to move on to something else just because we told them so. And so they tried to have it both ways. They were like, oh, it's fully, backwards compatible. Then if it's completely backwards compatible, then I don't need it. And that's the problem they ran into. They ran into the fact that, well, then if it's going to be fully backwards compatible, I don't need to buy this. I don't need to spend an extra $180 on books that I already have. And they're not the only ones that make this mistake. I mean, I see this taking place with game systems that I really do enjoy, like Castles and Crusades, and then moving to the Reforged, which is basically just removing the OGL from it. And I'm kind of scratching my head, and for a while I was thinking, well, I'm certainly not going to transition to new printing just to remove the OGL. I can just mentally remove the OGL myself. I don't need to change the names of things or whatnot just to do that. I'm not publishing, so it doesn't matter to me what I'm doing at my table as far as the nomenclature goes for various things. So it's just weird. But in all fairness, I haven't played 5.5 and only limited 5e. And I'm the same way. I've only played 5e very, very limited. The few times that I've played it, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel like it was Dungeons and Dragons. And any time that I'm going to, get in the mood to run Dungeons and Dragons, it is either going to be this. I left my cord there for a bookmark. It's going to be this, or it's going to be this. It's not going to be that. Let me get my little bookmark here so I don't lose my spot when I do start talking about a few things here. So I'll leave that there. So it's like anytime I am going to run Dungeons and Dragons, it's going to be one of the true editions of Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, I know some people will give me flack for saying so, but to be honest with you, none of it was anything but TSR Dungeons and Dragons. I would run second edition. I would certainly run AD&D first edition. I would run D&D Beckme, or possibly the Holmes or Moldvay Cook Holmes editions. I would run those. I wouldn't run OD&D, white box. I mean, I have it back there behind me. I wouldn't run that system because even though I do have chainmail and they say that you can work them together, to me that wasn't my experience, my initial experience with Dungeons and Dragons either. So to me, that's not D&D in my mind. Either way, mine will always go back to um, BECME and AD&D First Edition, and somewhat AD&D Second Edition. I have played it, but I've never run it. I did run For Gold and Glory, which is the retro clone of Second Edition. So that's as close as I've come to Second Edition. Although I'm certainly open to, one day doing a Second Edition campaign and jumping in on that. Which is kind of, well timed that I'm mentioning that, because next Sunday's live stream is going to be myself and Condor DM Stephen Saunders, and we're going to be sitting down and talking about Second Edition. So I know that's probably a shock to a lot of you that haven't been following along on the back and forth and everything, but I had tried to get Stephen to come on previously, to talk about Second Edition, because I do value his opinions on Second Edition. He's far more knowledgeable of running Second Edition than I am. Second Edition fell during a time frame that I was not as engaged in D&D, and certainly not immediately following like the 1990s. I wasn't involved with tabletop role-playing games through the 1990s and all the way up until like 2000 and almost 15. So I had a long break from tabletop role-playing games. I was doing other role-playing, right? I was doing role-playing on, the gaming consoles and on computers, and then the computers led to multiplayer, and then massively multiplayer and whatnot. So I never gotten to the point where I stopped gaming. It's just that my gaming had moved into other areas, and then I came right back to where it all began. Right, I went right back to running Dungeons and Dragons, BECME, or running AD&D First Edition again, and then I started running more OSR stuff as well. So, and then intermixing everything. So that will be next week's much more focused live stream. So yeah, we're going to be talking AD&D Second Edition. So I'm not going to go too much into that this week. I want to save up for then and talk about that when we get to that point. I'm also going to talk about some other gaming in the 1990s, which I'm familiar with some of those game systems. Many of them, and I include like the last couple of years of the 80s to be inclusive of that time frame as well. And I will be talking about those game systems going forward. I agree. TSR was the best era for D&D. I think that they did the best job with D&D. Yes, and I would assume that I would probably really like Dark Sun as well. And Dark Sun, I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because that's in my gap time, but Dark Sun started with Second Edition and then moved into Third. I believe around that same time frame, and Second Edition was certainly tied more to Forgotten Realms, although they did have other. Ravenloft made its appearance, the first appearance in AD&D First Edition, but just as a module, or maybe two standalone modules, and then it became a world setting in the later editions, second and probably third edition as well. Um, Dragonlance did a very similar thing, right? Dragonlance was introduced in first edition and then became much more of a setting place in later editions. They did a lot more with it with second edition. So anyway, I think modern D&D can, I'm going to put this up there. I think modern D&D can be improved by empowering DM to limit the variety of races, classes at their respective tables. Low fantasy campaigns might have rare magic and human only playable. Excuse me. Excuse me. The change of the weather, like today was like almost like maybe 60s, and it's just making my allergies all of a sudden spark up. I've seen grass for the first time in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and that's really kicking up. But anyway, yes, but you know what? As far as empowering DMs, that's the last thing that Wizards of the Coast wants to do. Um, which leads me to another thing that I've just watched some videos today where this was Dungeons and Discourse, I believe, or Dragons and Discourse, where he or she, I don't know what he identifies as. So where he said that they've pretty much announced that D&D going forward is just going to be digital. So no more books beyond 2026, I guess. So nothing coming from them in book form. It's going to be all digital, which means you're going to have to log in to D&D Beyond in order to get new things. And since they don't do PDFs, you're never going to own anything new from D&D going forward if you think about that. All right, because once it's on D&D Beyond, they can remove it, even though you've purchased it, you do not own it. 6e, I have heard rumors of 6e. I've heard that was it Dan Ayub had been meeting with Tracy Hickman and Ed Greenwood and potentially even Luke Gygax, and those three names have been floated around to being just the core, I guess, of starting to put together a sixth edition. But if that sixth edition is going to be nothing but digital, it's not going to do well, especially if you have to go on to D&D Beyond in order to do it, because again, it's they retain ownership even though you have purchased it, and they can alter it. They can, they can drop it from the servers so that you no longer have access to it. It is not a true purchase that you're making. Worst case scenario, they can turn that around and say, well, there's going to be a subscription base to having that access. And so if you're not subscribing, you're not going to get these newer, these newer contributions to it going forward. They're essentially going to kill it, because I do not foresee that anyone is going to continue to, to pay a monthly fee just to have a monthly subscription, just to have access to stuff that you've already technically purchased. So I don't know. I mean, that's where we bust out our our handy long lasting, long surviving 45 plus year almost 50-year-old tomes, and none of mine are dusty because they have been used, and so we will go back to running these game systems that that quite frankly they're ours. They belong to us, and we're going to modify them based on what works best for our table. And you know, that's another thing that goes back to the BrOSR, is that it has always been written, even in these books here, it has always been written that the dungeon master is going to utilize the rules, not as written, but the rules that work best for his or her table. And as long as you're not uh, doing your own home rules at a tournament table, you're perfectly fine doing it that way. Um, so not interested in the same in 60, same company, same slop. Yeah, and again, I don't foresee it being, because have kind of said it. It's going to be digital only anyway. So what's the point in doing it? I would be very, very skeptical, and I would wait to see copies of it someplace before I'd even consider buying it. And like it was said earlier on in the comment here, they would have to trim it down. I have no interest in having, 27 character classes and 53 subclasses and 15, 18 different races slash species, whatever you want to call them, and and a bloated action economy that one combat that in AD&D first edition that would take 25 minutes to run is going to run an hour and 20 minutes using that new formula of an action economy. So I would not touch it unless it is extremely trimmed down. When I say extremely trimmed down, I would like to see it come like the Rules Cyclopedia did in one volume. In one volume, you have everything. If they came out with a 6th edition that was just in one book, all right, a very, very truncated to, these are just the things that, is what D&D is supposed to be like, then I would be more inclined to take a serious look at a single volume, self-contained tabletop role-playing game from them. But again, it'd have to be a true throwback to like what they did with the Rules Cyclopedia. Let's see. Yeah, I yeah, got 30 bazillion character options, skill trees, customization, and again, just the action economy too. It's like, I miss a time when you're just, you can move, you can attack or cast, and then if you used your half move, you can attack, cast, and then half move again, or do a full move and one action, and that's it. No other, nothing else. And that's what makes it so streamlined in comparison to when you have, all of these different actions that they can take, and counter actions and legendary actions and blah 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 blah, and just gets so bloated that it's just not a play style that was Dungeons and Dragons, in my opinion. So anyway, hey Squirrel Hermit, good to see you here. And Dennis, let's see what Dennis has to say. Dark Sun was definitely a unique setting. As a DM, I had a hard time with the Road Warrior feel of it. My brain was more focused on traditional fantasy RPG games. Yeah, and there was, on that note of what is, a traditional, the traditional fantasy RPG games, that has changed several times throughout the course of old school D&D too, right? many people look at Dragonlance as being the move to a more railroaded, story driven. You're going to follow these modules. You're going to run all 12 or 13 of them, how many there were. They weren't really designed for you to use anything but the pre-generated characters, the characters from the story. And I don't think it really would have worked out if like Tanis or Raceland or any of those characters were actually killed off in some of those earlier adventures, and then you were going to supplant them with other characters. It would just lose the whole feel of it. But that was a definite shift, all right, that took place in what became the traditional, this is how you run a fantasy RPG. And, and those transitions had taken place in later years as well with other editions. Notably, fourth edition was trying to bring on the following of the World of Warcraft, the computer game, the MMO to paper form, and so and that really created a division. Let me let Squirrel Hermit in. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, brother. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
I hopped on YouTube. I seen you was on. I seen the link in the chat, and I figured I'd stop in and say, "Hey, yo."
Well, it's always good to see you. It's great to have you in here, and yeah. So, where do you kind of like stand? Like, do you see that that there have been several transitions in just the way that the majority of players approach role-playing games? Yep, I can see you clear now. So have you seen that, like, or do you see it the same way?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I was focusing on fixing the phone camera.
Yeah. So I'll go back to this comment. So Dennis Howard said, Dark Sun was definitely a unique setting. As a DM, I had a hard time with the road warrior feel of it. My brain was far more focused on traditional fantasy RPG games. Now, what that spurred in my mind was, a lot of people looked at Dragonlance as a major shift in the way that some, if not a lot of players, were running their games and going to running sequences of adventures. Now, that had been before Dragonlance. You had series of adventures and everything, but I don't know, and in our experience, we did not run them as sequentially as they came out. Like, we did not do all parts of like Against the Giants.
No, yeah, Dragonlance. I agree. Dragonlance kind of helped, or it cemented, or whatever, more of an episodal adventure. Session 1 is this. Session 2 is the next part. Session 3 is the
right.
For me, on my end, I can agree with that experience. Dragonlance did such a thing.
Yeah.
More episodical, episodial, however you want to say it. I bumble with words.
It was kind of like it was a campaign that you were supposed to run from, module 1 through, is it 13? I think it's like 13.
Yeah, whatever. 1 through 10, 13, 300, whatever. But yeah, from start to finish.
Yeah, from start to finish. And with those characters, that was the other really big thing was, because we ran them, like I played in them, and and it was really designed that you were supposed to play, the characters, the heroes of the Lance,
yes,
going through them. And We didn't so it didn't so much dawn on us at the time of like, well, what if this, what if Tannis dies? You know, how does the story continue going? Like we really didn't think about that. But none of the characters died, during it either. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I think it was just literally meant to tell that story, and that's what set into my mind. Like the reason why I don't like playing in certain settings, because then you kind of feel like I don't want to step on the toes of the setting. Like I don't like playing in Middle Earth unless it is during a time period that is beyond the third age. It has to be in the fourth age. The War of the Ring has to have been over. When I play Greyhawk, I will take it outside of the timeline of all of the published Greyhawk box sets.
Yeah.
I will take it to, all right, well, all of that has happened in the past, and now you're 100 years forward from there. And so, yeah, there might be some inklings of some of that stuff. It's like in some cases almost ancient history, and it has no impact on where you're going forward with your current campaign.
Yeah, and playing in a period of histories of that, as far as like Greyhawk or Middle Earth or whatever, Dragonlance, whatever. Some of that to me, if I were to play in, like you're saying, beyond what already
Mhm.
has been set in canon per se,
Right.
some of that would be fun for me if I were to do so, to actually do like a skirmish, a miniature skirmish, and play out a scene of one of the Greyhawk Wars or
Mm.
one of the Dragonlance Wars or one of the that would be neat. Yet I agree, like, it happened. We're over
Right.
it. We're moving forward.
Yeah. Um, Hey, Bo, how's it going? No, you didn't miss it's not so much a roasting, but I'm certainly going to point out a few things, when we get to that point. But anyway, back to our discussion on, like major shifts in gaming, and Bo, you could probably jump in on this as well.
Hi, Bo.
Um, yeah. Just a different philosophy of how to run your table. I think that has changed over time. And then just, if you go to if you read Gary's books, like his book on game mastery, right?
Yeah, I have that one too,
You know,
Matt.
if you read through there, and you'll see, and I don't agree with him 100% on some of the things, because I think it's a little bit, it's a little bit want to say self-aggrandizing, but it's like in order to achieve mastery, you have to publish, and I don't see why that's a necessity. But from somebody who has published, for them to say, well, you really can't be a true master unless you published, you know. But
Yeah,
um, but I do agree with him when he said
I
that.
could see him. I can forgive him for saying that because it was such back in the day. Like, who else was doing
Yeah,
it? Many
hey
people.
Hunter. But where I did agree with him was that the pinnacle of gameplay was at a convention, all right, and maybe not necessarily tournament play, but he really valued the experience that you would gain at running at a convention. And that's something that, quite a few years ago, I started making a major effort to do so. And, when I say a couple years ago, I'm going back to like 2018 is when I really started going to conventions. And then of course during COVID, I did the virtual conventions, but then immediately following going to conventions, and I certainly learned very, very quickly how different it is to run at a convention versus running at your home table, or running virtually online, or running in a tournament, or whatnot. So there's there's a very different mode of game mastery and mode of play, because as a player playing in those under those conditions, you're going to play very differently in a convention setting than you do in a home game. All right.
I
I'll
agree.
let Hunter jump in
Absolutely.
on that too. Hey Hunter, how's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm just don't bother me. I was just enjoying the conversation. I saw you were live. I'm like, I haven't been on Blood War Stream in a bit, so I figured
Yeah.
I'd stop
Yeah.
in, say
Well,
hi.
you're welcome to hang as long as you can and jump on in. So I know Bo said he had to go back to work. So yeah, with the BrOSR thing, I will keep on cycling around and going back to these things. So
I got opinions on that. So
yeah, I figured you might want to jump in on that. So I forget whose post it was on or whatever, whose video it was on. But, I came back to the point that I have spoken to people who played at Gary Gygax's table, including Luke Gygax, including Frank Metzner, including Kelly Foote, who most of you probably don't know. But
Yeah,
he
I've
was
spoken with them guys. Yeah.
But yeah, Kelly was in my gaming group for many years, and he was an employee of TSR from 82 to 86, mostly associated with Oriental Adventures. He was actually running or writing adventures for tournament play and for convention play under Oriental Adventures.
Yep.
And they they all said the same thing, that Gary did not run his table. He did not run Advanced Dungeons and Dragons that way that it is written in the DMG or the Player's Handbook.
No, he did not. He did not. From what I understand, I agree with you. He did not run it raw.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
And it's not designed to run raw. I mean, it basically tells you in one paragraph, it will tell you there are certain elements that cannot be removed, and otherwise you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore. But you can still remove them. You're just playing a different game.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree. Absolutely. He didn't. He set up what Max Liao says with Palladium. It was more of a framework.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what can work. Here's what's fun. Here's some ideas, and go.
Yeah, and that's more than just a few things to point out, but yeah, it's like, so I started looking through it and I was like, let me identify the rules. Now, the one thing that Luke was interviewed and said, that his father never used weapon speed. It would just slow down combat so much that he never used weapon speed. Why they even bothered putting it in, I think it was to make it as different from D&D as possible, because one of the main purposes of this was to remove it from Dave Arneson. Let's just be very, very clear. All right. And so he needed a game system that was very, very much removed from that. However, he was still clinging on, Gary was still clinging on to some of the elements of wargaming that he didn't want to let go either.
Sure. That's where they came up from. That's the roots.
So that's where you get like the one-to-one time that was, that's the way that they ran their wargaming. But it was not, and then multiple players, 16 people. I don't know anyone who ran Dungeons and Dragons with 16 players.
The largest group I ever had that I ran was 4 years, pretty much weekly, 8 to 10 hours every Saturday. The largest group at times I had was 10 players,
Hmm.
but it was Hackmaster. It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. Go ahead, Hunter.
There was a when I first joined Barrels and Borderlands Discord server. One of the first Bronsteins that games that they ran on the server. There was myself included. There was like 13 of us,
Hmm.
and we were like this mage council, and we had to decide the fate of one of our fellow mages because he apparently was guilty of dark magic, and do we kill him or do we exile him? Basically, it was what his punishment
Yeah.
would be. So
Yeah, it's a, so I started looking through some of these rules and everything, and I was like, yeah, we never used that. We never used this, we never used that. Now, my particular gaming group, we hated psionics. All right, I would never run D&D with psionics. All right,
Yeah, we never used it either.
even with the psionic heavy creatures and monsters and such that came out of the Fiend Folio, because that was replete with them. That's where you get the Githyanki and the
Oh yeah,
you
it
know,
was thick and heavy.
it was thick and heavy in there, and I was like, the slot and all of those things. I was like, holy shit, these things are super, super powerful. And if you're not doing that with your player characters, so we just ignored it. There was so much in the game. I mean, I'm reading through here, and they have like insanity. We never messed around with insanity.
Nope.
We occasionally did like I, as a game master, I never really messed too much with the morale system, because I would be like, I'll decide when the monsters will run or the monsters will fight until the death, to the death. I never applied that to players.
No, heavens no.
They will learn whether or not they're going to, stand and fight or flee or whatever. And if they make mistakes, they'll end up getting killed. That's bottom line.
Yeah. As far as applying that to the players, heavens no. We never.
Yeah, well,
I never, as far as monsters, rarely I rolled for morale, rarely, and usually I did it just for fun, like
I've
pardon me,
been messing around
with
with it with some other game systems, and just checking it out and seeing how it really plays out, and because I usually just do the calculation in my own head. When I'm looking at the situation, and I ask myself, if an intelligent creature was in this situation, would it look to turn and run?
Morale,
that's the bottom
for
line.
The most part, morale is a common sense kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, for fun, every now and again as a DM, I'd roll it just for, kicks every now and again, but no, it's a common sense.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. Like, if they got intelligence above 5 or 6, you're going to figure out, like, 3 of my buddies just dropped over these 2 guys, and there's 3 of us left. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so, if you're running completely raw, you're not playing AD&D either. Because the rules specifically tell you not to do that.
There was this funny meme post I saw someone mention where apparently when it comes to if you're playing AD&D, you can't even get married and have a family because there were no rules for getting married and having kids in AD&D.
Yeah, and they don't run AD&D raw either. They bring other game systems into it also. So
there has been this huge schism in the BrOSR with there's the guys that are like AD&D all the way. You don't play like we play. Like, screw off if you don't play unless you play like us. And then you have the other side that's like, we may not agree with how you play, but we still like some of these BrOSR concepts, and we'll apply them to also other games. Like I know, like a lot of the few BrOSR guys that I will talk to, because there's like a handful that we mutually respect each other, and we switch these ideas back and forth with each other. I have no issue with that.
Right.
It's the other part of the BrOSR where I've had to block so many because of just their behavior towards me. When
Mm.
I would just when it was usually just me only disagreeing with them about something is astounding, and they somehow like to think that their behavior is going to bring more people over to their side, which that's not how it works.
No, no. You know,
Well,
Like
I mean,
and
their behavior might bring more people to their side because birds of a feather flock together. However, whatever. You guys do your thing, and us guys will do our thing.
yeah, it's like I know one person put a comment in there. It was like, "Well, you've been playing it wrong for 2 decades," and it was like, well, the measure that I use is, has my table been full? All right.
Yeah,
Have they been coming back week after week? If
yeah,
they've been coming back week after week, and I've had multiple, during the course of my entire lifetime of playing these games, you know, I might have had 50 players, 60 players that were playing. My average D&D campaign runs between 10 months and a year. All
yep.
right. And then others went longer, very, very few less than that. Most last, a good 8 months. That's probably the low bar
A solid
on what I
campaign
run.
should be at least a
And
year, in my opinion.
and usually it's like, so it's like, if I don't have any trouble filling a table and the players are looking to come back every single week, then there's no wrong play going on there. Like they say, there's no there's no wrong fun, to be having if you're just coming back together, every single week. They did have a harlot encounter table. Yeah, they did. And uh, even as 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, when we started playing, oh, actually, we were a little bit younger, but we had access to that, and we didn't bother using the harlot table while we were playing. We always ran ours. Our adventures were our adventurers. We were adventurers. We weren't looking to build families and to do this and to do that and to go out on dates with with others and
Yeah, we weren't looking to.
interact with the NPCs on a social level,
Nope.
unless there was something directly related to the adventure that
Correct.
we were planning on doing. So every encounter was in combat, but every encounter was utilitarian to moving us forward in our goal of completing the adventure at hand, the quest at hand.
Yes,
All right. And
the encounters were an ends to a means. Yes.
And when I used to describe, like, the last time I was running my AD&D campaign, which lasted 2 years and 3 months. I think we've kind of just felt it went its full course, that it was meant to go on. There were around 11, 12, 10, 11, and 12. That was and that was my largest group too. That was the group that started with really 12. We launched with 10, and we finished up with 8 players. So that was a very large group.
Nice.
And believe it or not, that particular campaign organically ran almost 1-for-1. You know what I'm saying? Like we were kind of like, anytime that they returned to town and then we got back, the next week, and we started playing again, it was like, well, their actions, because I was utilizing a lot of the rules, like the rules to level up. You had to train for the whole week. You had to do all these things. You needed all the money in order to pay for that stuff. Those kinds of rules I was using from the DMG as written, because that was part of the downtime. That
And you
was
know what? A part of
it's
me,
in
a part of me
between.
still likes those rules. A part of me still likes those rules. They make
Yes,
sense in a way.
yeah, for AD&D, I would always use those rules because to me, that's AD&D.
Yeah.
All right. Would I do that with other game systems? No. All right,
No,
because
if
they're
it's not
just
part
not
of the rules,
written that
especially if it's
same
not
way.
part of the
Correct.
rule.
Yeah, rare, rar, rules as rewritten. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Rules as
oh,
rewritten.
yeah. Let's
I
see.
like that one. Rawr.
Yeah.
That's a
Game
good one.
belongs to your group. You decide how to trim and add to it, to please you. It's like saying you play the backyard football wrong. It's just like if you've been consistently successful, um, especially over the course of months, years, decades, even, then you've not been doing anything wrong whatsoever.
No.
And you really don't need to. You don't really need to question yourself whether or not, hey, is this working out? Of course, it's working out. You know, Wander Home.
Yeah,
Wander
come
Home
on.
RPG. Yeah,
After all, I really, I'm not gonna say hate. That's a strong word. I don't like to say like, come on, guys, it's a game. We're having fun. Let's do
yeah,
this. Can we
yeah,
agree? If the table agrees, then shut up. You're not at the
yeah.
table.
Yeah, it was interesting because I forgot I had heard of Wonder Home before, but so I was just looking it up on itch.io. So Wonder Home is about you play as animal folk just traveling throughout different
Yes.
lands. But it's interesting because on itch, if you look on your computer in itch.io, the TTRPGs will tell you what bundles they were submitted for, and I'm not gonna say them out because I don't want to get too crazy or political or anything, but there are some groups on here that was like, yeah, I would not give this game any of my money. It's
Right.
pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that game.
Yeah, it's about I'm trying to remember when it got released. Let me look here because I know it's been around for little bits. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Wander Home.
It came out. Okay, it was released in 2000. It was released in April 2021, but
Okay.
it was updated July last year. So they
Okay.
do updates on every now and then apparently. But no, some of the bundles that it was submitted to on itch.io because itch.io does all those bundles are like, yeah, no, I don't want to give these people my money.
Yeah.
If they're gonna put it for causes like that. I mean, more power to them if they want to do that. I don't have to submit to it.
Yeah. Um.
I guess Squirrel had to leave
Well,
or he
then,
just got lost.
yeah, or he might have been losing his connection. Yeah. So use your
Yeah.
free time the way I think you should, or you're wrong. What kind of a person even feels entitled to that over other people? Yeah, no, it's a, the other thing I never liked about it is that we have never, like, my own gaming group has never been like, we're going to have multiple characters. You know, we've we've had backup characters kind of, and in that AD&D first edition, I actually had them create their henchmen that were going to be their backup characters should should their main character die.
Yes.
And those henchmen were, as they were going through their levels 1 through 12, um those henchmen were gaining experience along the way as well,
Yeah, that's one thing that's
so
really
that they
neat.
wouldn't, have to enter in. I'm sorry, Squirrel. So that they
That's
wouldn't
okay.
have to re-enter a party of level 8, 10 level 8 characters, and then they would have to come in with a level 1 character. No, you'll probably come in at like fourth or fifth level or something like that. You'll have to be looked after, but that's where you're going to enter in as. Let me let Paul in.
That's one neat thing I've done. I've
Oh,
actually learned again from Hackmaster.
mm,
They have your hirelings and henchmen, and then they have at a certain level. I forget what it is.
mm.
You can actually have what is called a sidekick amongst your henchmen,
Hmm.
hirelings, etc. And they get you can allot experience to them from yours. So if your character were to expire, there's your backup. And I
Yeah.
ran an OSC game for a while, quite a bit, and I told everyone, you better when you come to the table, you better have a stable of characters. Everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's OSC, it's super simple, BX style, make up 4 or 5 characters.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some hirelings and henchmen.
Mhm.
Okay. And what I did with the group for fun was, okay, there was 4 or 5 of us, 4 or 5 of them, players. Says, all right, you rolled up your stable of characters. I would grab the character sheets outside of their main playing character and shuffle them up and then pass them out and go, all right, there's your henchmen, your hirelings. We'll meet them organically, but here they are. And don't be surprised if your character meets an untimely demise, whether it's through dice rolls or you're dumb.
Right.
This is the next one in line
Yeah.
because they were there with you. They know what's going on. They're aware. They were there when you were hired to save the princess or whatever it was.
Hmm.
Here you go. So it's not like some I've done campaigns, adventures, and etc. like that where okay, now you got to meet the new character and you got to do the introduction in the tavern and all that dumb crap. No, this guy was right next to you when you got your head chopped off by the angry whoever, whatever, and he is already aware of like we're questing or trying to accomplish said goal.
Right. Yeah. No, it's it. You should have the a new character, integrated into the adventure as quickly as possible. But maybe not at the same experience level, but certainly and be aware of what was going on, and that's the whole purpose of having henchmen. Hey, Paul,
Yo.
I'll let you
Yeah,
jump in on that.
I got to play Wander Home, like I think it was 2 years ago over at GaryCon. Some lady showed up and she was running that and Aegon. So I was like, okay, cool. We're doing a little bit more what people would call story games. But yeah, I'd never played Wander Home. There's no dice, so it's very much like I can't call it a game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Paul, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Paul, I'm surprised. I don't recognize you. I've been going to GaryCon for the past 10 years.
Okay.
Every year. This is the first year I won't ever make it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So
No,
we've probably brushed paths. So it's good seeing you again.
Sure. Yeah. No, I see you usually on DM James or over here or all over the place. Yeah, but no, GaryCon. I've been going since about GaryCon 9. I think it's gotten to the point where it's so packed that people aren't kind of crossing paths anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I will still say though it's a good venue and it's not, it doesn't feel overcrowded.
Yeah. Well, this year I think they've got stuff spilling over into what's that thing over there? The Timber Ridge. It's like a water park.
Yeah. I
over
think last year they kind of spilt over to that, and yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least this year, I guess they're not having the pool open for whatever reason, so it's not going to reek like chlorine. But I think down in the pool area, they're going to have tables set up too. So it's like
Geez.
the con's spread out to like the entire kind of campus, all the way up to the ski chalet. Which I was like, when I was setting up my event list, I was definitely like, okay, how much running around am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to go all the way up the mountain to the ski chalet, so
No.
I'm just going to take all.
But
those
it is. I will
off the
say it's
list.
a nice venue. It's a nice place. And every time I've been, it did not seem overly crowded, which is it's a nice feel for. I don't know. I haven't been to. Actually, it's the only con I've been, but from what I hear, it doesn't feel overly crowded. Which
Gotcha.
my son and I, it was our he and I, our annual father and son kind of thing. And because our birthdays are both around the same time the con happened, so
Gotcha.
We've always had a good time, met good people. I won't disparage the convention on that, and the venue was nice. And unfortunately, I can't go this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in the
Yeah.
Midwest? Is that
I'm in Ohio. I'm southern Ohio. I'm a little bit. I'm about what, hour and a half from Cleveland.
gotcha? Okay.
Hour from Pittsburgh. I'm right on the border, right where West Virginia and Ohio and PA kind of meet. I'm kind of right down in that little corner.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's about a with stops, getting out to stretch and whatever. It's a 10-hour drive, but
Yeah.
I drive. I don't drive truck, but I drive quite a bit for work. So 10 hours is,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because I was going
one.
to say in 45 minutes from there in Madison, they do a Gamehole Con. That's another convention that's not
Yes.
too compact, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's a 15-hour drive one way for me, so it's not.
Well, yeah. Well, he's
Yes.
driving 10 hours. Like I could make it to CNY if I were crazy enough to drive 10 hours, but yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, every my son and I, when we started doing it, we did the marker. I call it the marker. Every 3 hours, we stop, whether we need fuel or not. We get out, we get fuel, bathroom break, grab a snack, whatever, and then we go another 3 hours, get out, walk around, whatever, blah, and then so it breaks it up a little bit. And hey, we got there every year.
There you go.
Well, Ohio to Utica, New York is not that much of a stretch.
No,
Yeah.
Utica's not.
So,
No.
Yeah, so it would
No.
be great to see you at CNY.
Yeah, I would like to when I start slowing down personally with
Yeah.
work, I will be hopping to more cons. I will be I want to genuinely visit. I mean, I've met some folks online like Shadow, even though he's all the way in California, James and other folks, DM Fritz, and I would honestly. I'd drive there and get a hotel for the weekend just to come and break bread and hang out and blab. I would love to see folks,
That's
shake hands, give a bear hug,
Mm.
and nice to meet you, brother, in the flesh. I would love to do that.
it's okay to tell people they're playing wrong in terms of how the game was designed or intended to play. If someone's playing Monopoly with a bunch of weird rules they made up, then they're not playing. Right. And Gary, yes, said that. But what Gary didn't say was what specifically the rules he was talking about. Like I know that he, because he had, throughout a number of other mentionings, he basically felt that the essentials, this is what he called the essentials, that the class limitations, level and class limitations for demi-humans was essential. Otherwise, there was never a reason to play a human character. So that was number one. He really believed in the alignment system. Like without the alignment system, he felt that every single player would fall into murder hoboism. And he said that it was, the alignment system was essential for was essential for creating the heroic fantasy that we were supposed, according to him, we were supposed to be playing. Now he said, yes, you can play an evil campaign, but that evil campaign should be very short-lived. It's not going to last long because now you're going to have both the forces of good and evil working against you at some point. You're going to backstab each other. You're going to, basically it's going to devolve into player versus player because that's what evil people do. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what I always thought. Yeah, evil,
so
like really, you're gonna.
it's like, but the design choice, going back to this this comment here from Negative Space, the design choice was that you have flexibility in these rules. It's written there. It's like, if you find that it's not working, then don't use it. And Gary very famously said, that, certain rules, he said, stop using. He said that with the monk. He said when Oriental Adventures was released, and he compared the monk from Oriental Adventures to the monk in the Player's Handbook. He said, stop using the one in the Player's Handbook. Use the Oriental Adventures version of the monk. It's a better designed class. That's it. So, there were things in there that he did not use at his own table, and it has been verified that he did not, and that is not something that you're still playing D&D without some of those rules. All right, and I think that's the crux of the what I described as the contradiction in some of the things that Gary would say, because he would contradict himself in the same book. It's like read the introduction of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then read the afterword, and they conflict with each other. Go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you ever saw, but a while back I did a video talking about it was titled "It's All D&D?" ? And I went through. I think I had like 20 different RPGs that I owned. I only did RPGs that I owned that were all either D&D clones or D&D like, as in you could tell it took inspiration from D&D, but it wasn't like really D&D, so to speak. Like Horde Wars is very much inspired by D&D, but it's not like a D&D clone. It's still very much, but still that medieval fantasy as a D12 system is what it is. And so it's now gotten to the point where it's like everyone has made different versions of the game that they want, that either they played as when they were playing D&D, or this is how they envision D&D to be. I mean, I'm going to be basically kind of doing the same thing coming up, because I just announced on X that I'm going to be making my own little TTRPG booklet that's going to be my own variation of like rules and stuff. But it's going to be going to be kind of like how Karn and Knave are, where it's OSR compatible, but then you just take whatever monsters and spells you like from your preferred game, and you just apply it to the rules that I've given you. Because the last thing I want to do is create a giant tome just for something else. I want it to be something affordable. I want something that people can just print off. I don't want people to have to like order a POD and then wait like a month for it.
Yeah, just a little spice to your game, just a little seasoning.
And the one thing I am kind of afraid of is I'm afraid it's going to be like an OSR version of Daggerheart, because what I'm kind of doing is I'm taking a lot of different things I like from various games, and I'm just trying to mesh it all together to make it work. But it's like because Daggerheart did the same thing, just not successfully. So, so I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not that familiar with Daggerheart. I mean, I own it. I've read through it a little bit. I've never played it. Certain elements of it I like. I like how fast you put together a character. Like in less than 3 minutes, you have a character. All you have to do is pull 3 cards. I like the fact that it has cards for a lot of that stuff. But I don't really see that much of a connection between its game system and D&D, to be honest with you. But it's the same thing. Like I say, when it said like, oh, Shadow Dark is a clone of 5e. I was like, how do you get there? I mean, it has the same attributes, man. That's as close a connection as it has.
It took the best of 5e and OSR and made it work to where it was much more enjoyable and a lot easier to understand.
Yeah. But it's only like they'll like, oh, it has advantage. I was like, all right, advantage has been around since 1992. All right. So
when I was
rolling
born.
with advantage is 92. All right. So
I was born in 92.
Say again?
I was born in 1992.
Yeah.
So I'm as old as advantage is.
I think the one, I don't know if that's the first game, but the first edition original of the One Ring had that in it.
No, Over the Edge. Over the Edge.
That's
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Over the Edge 1992. Was that Monty Cook?
Atlas Games. Atlas.
All right. Yeah, but no, who was the author of it? Oh no, Jonathan Tweet.
Jonathan Tweet, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Tweet.
You're right.
So, Jonathan Tweet introduced Rolling with Advantage.
Well, when did the first edition of the One Ring come out?
That's
first
a good question. I don't remember.
Yeah.
First edition of the One Ring. Let me pull that one off the shelf too. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, there you go. Attaboy, Paulie.
Yeah, it's very different. And I haven't played it yet, but I know it's a very different system.
Yeah, so hold on. I actually have a. So this is.
Hey, Alfred, how's it going?
So this right here that I'm holding is first edition Cairn. It's basically a printable booklet that I could just fold in half and print off. This is kind of what I want to do for my what's titled. It's titled Elf Gun TTRPG because I want to go focus on. I still want to give it like an urban fantasy setting. So again, like Bright, but it's going to be still a very much OSR compatible system.
Go for it, buddy.
Is it about killing elves? I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, elves can be the enemy. Elves can be the enemies you face as if you choose to do. Because again, you can take monsters and spells from other systems and just apply them to it. Because that's what Karn does. It allows you to take spells and monsters from other games and just throw them in here.
Yeah.
2011 Squirrel Hermit.
Okay.
2011? All right.
I have never seen that version of the One Ring before. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's the original one. It came in a slip.
The
case,
original.
like the dice and all that. Yeah.
Angela, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, wasn't it 4.5e?
He may be referring back to Shadow Dark, probably.
No,
she wrote for 5e. Like
she wrote for 5e, but she played. You know, again, she played at Gary's table. You know, and and she was playing. She was playing old school. I mean, she was playing either AD&D at Gary's table or perhaps Beckme or whatnot, but not. She wrote for 5e.
Yeah, and then the scandal happened, and then that's when she struck iron.
Yeah, she was working on Shadow Dark actually 3 years before. She started working on Shadow Dark, I believe. I'd have to go back and watch her thing, her thing, but she was working on Shadow Dark in like 2020. Or 2019. So like 4 years before it was launched.
Yeah, she was running that table over at GaryCon testing it out. So and then
that's. Yep. Paul knows. I was probably there, not at the table with him, but yeah.
There is a Lord of the Rings book that is 5e compatible, but I don't think One Ring was a 5e system, unless I'm absolutely wrong.
No.
Free League
did
on it, so they did a second one because they did the One Ring second edition, which is the black cover one or blackish cover one, and then Middle Earth Adventures, I think they called it. That's the 5e compatible.
The 5e one, and actually that one was really good for using the 5e chassis as a rule set. That one was actually really done really well, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of 5e rules. I mean, they're fun, they work, but I'm not a fan of it. But if you can look into that, Hunter, that actually was, I think, it was a good one.
The 5e Lord of the Rings book, the current one that's out, or are you referring to something else?
No, the 5e one, the Adventures in Middle Earth or whatever it is. That's actually a good one. It's got a lot of neat. I mean, it's 5e, so you could smudge those rules over into your 5e standard player's handbook game. You know what I mean? It's actually a good one.
Yeah, so Ducato jumped in here. Crucible 7 did the 5e version. And the One Ring was before Modifius put it out.
Yes, Cubicle 7 pretty much.
Yeah, it must. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me to try to find that because it looks like it's an older system that may not be publicly available anymore.
They clamped down for some reason on that. The 5e version of Middle Earth, it's hard to get, I guess. I had them all. I had the whole freaking line of it pretty much, but I gave it away to a buddy because he's a real big Middle Earth fan and loves 5e, and I'm like, here you go.
It could be a thing too that probably Crucible 7 just lost the IP rights to it, and they had to take it all down, like Modifius did
That's
with
usually
Conan.
what happens. That's usually what happens. Like these, it's kind of it's always on shaky ground when you're buying a tabletop role playing game that is a very popular IP. I mean, we've seen it with Conan. I'm sure like Modifius now has Fallout, but they're not going to hold on to that for forever. They've already stopped. Who is it? Who had Dune? Dune is.
Dune is also
really?
Modifius. Modifius
it's
also
also
had a
Modifius.
Dune game.
It's another
All right,
2D20, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
2D20
don't
as
see
well.
that they're doing very much with that anymore because they're and how long could they hold on to that license too? It's like so some of these licensed games, which I mean I enjoy them. I mean I love Modifius's Conan. I think it's the best version of Conan. In a tabletop role playing game, better than TSR did, better than Mongoose. I think they just did a phenomenal job with it.
And that's what kind of boggles my mind with these IPs for as far as role playing games. Like, how much money are you losing? Like, and how much money you're gaining? So what? Us that participate in this is such a niche thing. It's like, come on, just let them run with it. Who cares? They're not making movies or trying to write novels and like, come on, it's a game. Like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Come on, really?
Well, they can't stop you from playing it, but they do stop producing stuff for it. So you can still play it. You can still, you just can't
Yeah, well,
publish.
no,
But not everybody publishes anyway. So
I get that, but I
make
mean, as
all
far
your
as even
things.
publishing,
Yeah.
like really, like, oh no, we did a Dune game and now it's making more money than the movies ever
Yeah.
did. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Modifius's Star Trek, the first edition was ass. The second one, I hear more positive things about it, but
I've never played any of the Modifius 2D20 games. They just never really caught my attention enough to want to try them.
yeah. Well, I think you would probably enjoy the Conan. The Conan just stellar with that system.
Yeah.
I hear it fits the genre well. It hits the feel of Conan really well. I've never played.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's I forget which company has the rights to Conan now, but there's another Conan RPG that's currently in the works. And then I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but some other dumb company bought the rights to the Tunnels and Trolls name, and they released a beta quick start. But when I was looking at the quick start, it's nothing like the original Tunnels and Trolls game. It's only Tunnels and Trolls in name only. Nothing in the system is a reflection of what Tunnels and Trolls was.
Mm.
It's like Tunnels and Trolls New Age is what it's called. And it's got this like cartoony vibe to it for some reason.
Right. Yeah, I looked at it and everything, but I was like, you know what? I'll just get a copy of old school Tunnels and Trolls.
Yeah.
I got PDFs of the very first printing, and I think I got like the 30th anniversary version, which I think was their 5th edition at the time. But I've never actually had a chance to play it, and it's one I've always wanted to at least try. Because that's the funny thing is, no one, just like Shadowrun, no one can agree on what version of Tunnels and Trolls is the best one.
Okay. Mr. Spock, I will try to tackle this for you. So the OSR is a group of players, not a very large group of players, but it's a group of players that believe that the only way to play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition is to run the rules as written. In other words, if it's in the book, you use it. All right. No selectivity of, I don't like the way that the
weapon speed works.
The weapon speed works, or it bogs the game down too much, or I don't like the way that the pummeling is done, or I don't like
segments,
this or that, or segments, and Fancy and Magic or whatnot, even though Gary probably considered Fancy and Magic to be one of
Weapon
those
type versus
essentials.
armor type.
But yeah, weapons versus armor type, which was something I was going to bring up as well. So not just the weapon speed, but weapons did different damage to different types of armor.
And I will interrupt it a little bit here, sir. I apologize, but I will again extol the virtues of Hackmaster. They handled that perfectly, all of it.
Right. So so yeah, I mean, so what they basically say is, and they're big on one-to-one time, which means that you are sticking to the real world time. So if the player characters go out on an adventure, if they do not return to the town, the next time you play, those characters are not available unless you were not supposed to stop in the middle of an adventure. You were always
Correct.
supposed to return back to a safe space, and then if the characters were doing something, let's say you play on Monday nights and your characters return to town on a Monday night and they need to train for the next 7 days, all right, for their leveling, right? But for whatever reason, the group wants to come together on Thursday night. Well, you're not allowed to play those characters because they are occupied training,
Yep.
and they won't be available again until Monday. And
Correct.
so it makes the one-to-one time lord over the availability of playtime for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh no, well this concept of one-to-one trumps, I want to play this character.
I can see that though.
I want to play on Thursday.
I can see that though if you had a stable of characters. So
yes,
your
but
henchmen,
the point
hirelings,
is that,
sidekicks, or whatever can level up. I can see that. I can see where that was coming from. Obviously, that must have been the case.
yes, and yes, I watched Luke say that these were put in for wargamers. It was that carryover, and I said that earlier on, was that there were some elements of wargaming that Gary just didn't want to let go, all right, for this.
And you can't blame the guy. That's where he come from. You can't blame him.
Yeah, and he didn't use them at his own table. You know, it was not something that he used at his own table. And so you'd have to ask yourself, if these rules were so important, then he would use them at his own table. The fact that he didn't means that they weren't all that important. And in many cases, you know, they were just not well written as far as whether it's explaining how they were done or the way that they were organized in the Dungeon Master's Guide was not very coherently done. And they oftentimes contradicted one another as well. And so, you know, it gets to the point where, you know, when you're looking at it as a game master and you come across a rule that isn't working for your table, you know, you change it. All right. And that is you're free to change it. It is written in the rules. So to say rules as written raw is every rule. Well, that's written in the rules too, is your ability to modify things. All right. And so isn't that also raw? It's a, you know, it's a weird way of looking at it to be able to basically say, well, my way is the only true way. And I think that's what it really boils down to, is that you have these few people who just want to say, unless you're playing it my way, you're playing it wrong. And it's just a, you know, it comes from nothing, where they pull that idea has no basis in the actual rule book. You cannot point into the rule book where it says everything written in here must be followed, otherwise you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's just not written there at all. So, Paul, I'll let you jump in because I see you're nodding. I don't know if you're.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. No, I think it's because role playing at that point was a new thing. It was branching off of war games. So you're entering this area of, we mentioned Wanderholm, where it's like you're so far from wargaming that you don't even use. There's no dice in it. There's almost no resolution mechanic. It's all just storytelling, in which case it's not a role-playing game. You're not really gaming anything. And that's why I see a lot of people have this weird complaint about, well, this role-playing game is too video gamey. And it's like, how exactly? We're all sitting at a table. It's not like a video game. Is it that it's procedural, like a board game? Then I could understand, because somebody said before where it was like, if you added in custom rules for Monopoly, you're not playing Monopoly. And it's like, I'm inclined to agree, because a board game is very procedural. And you see some RPGs designed that way, where it's very procedural, like Errant, His Majesty the Worm, etc. Those types of games where it's like you have a delving phase, you have a camping phase, a town phase. Everything's broken into phases and it's regimented in what you can do. You have to take steps and whatnot. Is that for everybody? No. Is it still a role-playing game? Sure. It's just more regimented. That's it.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is like in anything, you're going to have the Omega level nerds who are like, only we know what to do. You are all, filthy peasants. And it's like, okay, nerd, do what you do. I don't care. You're not at the table. You're not at my games. You don't get to dictate anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's the big issue with a lot of people these days. Is like, just because that's how you decide to run your table does not give you the right to come to my table or Paul's table or Squirrel's table or Bloodworth's table and tell us this is how we should be playing. We may agree with maybe some of what you say. We may apply them to our own games, but we are under no obligation to listen to anyone's opinions on how we should run our games.
And see, if you have because there are tournament dungeons and stuff like that have specific rules, but
yes, and then that's where that comes in. And again, like in Gary's book, he kind of laid it out that there's different ways that you'll play based on the mode of play. You're going to play very differently in a tournament. You're going to play very differently at your table. Or, I mean, there wasn't the online gaming, by the time that Gary passed, but still, if he was around, he would also recognize that, you're going to play differently when you're playing online, or in your local game store or whatever. It's like every one of those is just a different approach to doing the same thing. And yes, you have to have uniform rules when you're playing in a tournament. All right. That's a totally different aspect of it. I don't know anyone who uses a point system when they're running their own modules at home. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're not utilizing those rule sets. It's a tournament play rule set.
I did not hear a single word he said.
Yeah, you broke up, Squirrel.
No, I'm sorry. Zadarok was blabbing in the background. God bless her. I love her to death. I agree. Like, using the modules or whatever with the point system, tournament play only.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And that's why, whenever GW updates things and is like, oh, you can't use whatever proxy models, I'm like, that's cool. You're not enforcing it in my basement.
Exactly.
Well,
Thanks.
Don't care.
Thanks for the heads up, losers.
It's like when they, they'll come out and they'll say, well, you need to, this is the rule system that you're supposed to be using. It's like, you see all those books behind me? I don't need your new rule system. Right. I got plenty behind me. I can play those for the rest of my life and not even think about what you're putting out there. It's like, you can't, and some people in cancel culture and everything, Get out of my hobby. How exactly are you going to accomplish that?
Yeah, who are you?
How,
Yeah, who are you
how are
people
you going to
exactly?
pull that off?
I mean,
I mean,
we've been playing these games longer than these guys have been alive. How is it
I
your
know, and
hobby
it's like,
exactly?
yeah, pull that one off.
Correct,
I mean,
sir.
Yeah.
even like Hasbro doesn't have the ability to do that. What
Yeah,
makes you think that you do? It's a
I own a physical copy. Get lost.
yeah. It's like I really don't need anything new. All right, I still
And
buy stuff that's new because I like to, and I like to read stuff, and I like to play stuff. But
even if it's a modern PDF only thing, print it out, glue the pages together. I own a
That's what
physical copy. Get lost, loser.
I was lucky enough to come across a somehow intact and decent scanned PDF of this is a first edition Deities and Demigods. And I can prove that is the first edition because I have to remember what page it's on every time when I open this thing up.
Cthulhu?
Yes, the Cthulhu. Yep, here we go.
Yeah, I had two copies.
The Cthulhu Mythos.
Two actual physical copies of those, and I graciously I sent one to Max Leal because he didn't have one. I'm like, you know what, brother, here you go. But I have another one that is the actual original printing. Yep.
Yeah. So I just went to Office Depot. I printed off the front and the back covers myself, but I had Office Depot print out all the other pages because I couldn't print all these many pages at the local library. And I think it was like $33 for like 70 plus pages.
Yeah, even PDFs, because from what I understand, some folks, whatever, they will manipulate PDFs or whatever through versions. And you want, like, I got the original version per se. Print it out, glue it together. I have it. I have a physical. Get lost, loser. I have a physical copy. Beat it. Scram. It's like owning a DVD or a tape cassette or a CD or whatever. I have it. Get lost. Scram.
I mean, I still buy CDs from certain artists if I see them in my local Walmart. I'll still buy CDs and just upload the files, but I'll still hold on to the CDs. So
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't think I will fall off of it. Paul and Mr. Bloodworth, Richard, I should say, get the physical, brother. Get the physical copy.
I have the physical
of anything.
Yeah,
anything you want to own, you own it. It will not be changed. It will not be manipulated. I know how to say manipulate, but I like to say manipulated. It will not be manipulated. It will not be changed, smudged, smeared, whatever. Get the physical copy every friggin' time.
Well, I say get the physical copy in case the EMP ever hits our country and we don't have access to our computers anymore. We at least have pencil, paper, and the physical books.
Solar flare, EMP, but that never happens. Still, you got people that want to change things and manipulate things. Get, the physical copy. Ownership. You paid for it. You own it.
Yep, they can't, and then that's why this shift. Like I was talking about this earlier on. The CEO of Hasbro is basically saying, no, D&D moving forward. He said this in the most recent shareholders meeting. D&D going forward is going to be digital only, focused digital only. So they want to bring everything to that, and the way everything to D&D Beyond, and everything on D&D Beyond, whether even if you purchased it, still belongs to them.
See you bye. Right? Nope.
They can pull it, pull it off the server. They can alter it without your permission. You do not really own it. What you're doing is you are renting it. And
see you bye.
They can pull it. All right, so you've technically leased it or whatever, and they can bring your lease to an end. All right, on a whim at any time, without any recourse from you to say, hey, you did it. And video games tried to do the same thing. I know, like
Yeah, they're
Steam was
trying.
trying to
Yeah,
do
there's
that.
certain companies.
They
Yep,
tried to
there's
do that, and they were like, well, your purchase, if it's on Steam or one of the other services disappeared. There was another one. It was GG or something like that. I forget exactly what that was.
GOG, good old games, they're still around.
Yeah, GOG. I got to look to see because that's where I had my original of Red Dead Redemption 2 on there, and I'm
that's a good game.
Yeah, that's the only place that I had it, and I'm like, I'll probably just buy it on Steam anyway. Once it goes on sale again, and just get it there. But
I recently
you don't own those things. They can take them away, or they can shut them down, right?
My son is into the PS5. I used to be a big avid video gamer there for a stint, but my son, when he says, "Oh, there's a new version of this coming out," I says, "We'll get the physical. We'll get the CD. We'll get the actual game." Like any downloads DLC, that doesn't come on the disc, but we are going to get. You will touch this game and be able to put it into that fucking unit and play the thing.
Yeah.
Period. Just like a book, like we're saying.
Yeah.
Get the physical.
The problem is computers don't have the disk drives anymore like they used to either. So it's like, that's disappearing. So, but anyway, GOG. I forgot what the name of that. What that was.
Good old games.
Yeah, they have some good games. Yep. I recently have recovered my original. So originally, when I first got into Skyrim, it was like a couple years after it was first released, and I bought it on my old PC for Steam. And then at some point, I decided I was spending too much time for it, and I removed it from my computer entirely. Well, so I have the old Xbox 360 Game of the Year edition, but what I wanted to do at one point was I wanted to actually stream Skyrim, but I wanted to do a completely original vanilla version without any of the DLCs. So I actually had reached out to Steam, and I found out, I can actually restore my old original 2012 purchase of Skyrim as it was released back then. No mods, no DLCs, just the original game as it came when it was first released.
Well, that's cool. That's nice. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So eventually, I do want to like just stream that, and maybe at some point I'll buy the original version of the DLCs, and then run through those after I complete all the vanilla version. Maybe, I don't know yet.
Okay.
But yeah, GOG is a good place to go because they're doing kind of a project to make games playable on modern PCs. So like if you wanted to play Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri or something like that came out in the 90s, there's actually a version that'll run on with a modern processor that isn't going like Mach 5 when you boot it up.
Nice.
Books of Project Victory. Yeah, I remember seeing, what was it on Netflix? It was a Splash with Daryl Hannah, and they covered her naked buttocks with hair, and it looked like she had a dog's ass. It was very strange. Yeah, they like CGI'd it. I was like, okay. Kind of ruins the purpose of it. She's like a mermaid or a sea nymph, which is, it's supposed to show her innocence. She's like not a human. That was the whole point of the scene, but they were like, naked buttocks.
It's offensive.
Yeah. How dare they?
How dare you show human physical form and its beauty? Yeah, whatever.
I just opened up my GOG, which I haven't been on there for God knows how long.
Sure.
And that wasn't the first place that Red Dead Redemption came out then.
No.
What was the first one that was on? Was it Origins?
Could have been. That was it EA? Was Origins, I think?
It might have been.
I'm not sure if that existed.
No, it was Origins. It wasn't EA, although EA and Origins probably merged. Origins. Origins. Yeah, I forget. It was on an old computer, and that's why I lost track of it.
Rocking my Pentium 4. I will tell you, Not Your Echo, I did have a laptop that I tried to keep alive as best as possible just to play Master of Orion 2. I shit you not, on the CD. It finally died, but that's just how it goes.
Like,
I'm going to try to see. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if it's still around. Origins game download. Let's see.
Well, because what's the other one? You Play, right? That's Ubisoft. So I don't think that's going to be around for a while because that company is about to go belly up.
Yeah.
what the hell?
I heard somebody try to pop in, but
Pentium was 5, 486 was 4.
It was me. It kind of blurped or something.
yeah, no, I don't see it anymore. And it
Yeah,
wasn't
and then-
it wasn't GOG, so it was something else. But like I said, I'm gonna wait till it comes cheaper on Steam and then give it a shot, because that's like, that will put me in my Deadlands mood. You know what I'm saying? It's like really put myself in that kind of mindset, even though it's not weird Western, but still. Steam is killing everyone. Yeah, but
Look
you
at
know what? It's the only one out there. It's like,
I know you're showing off the Pendragon book, but I'm liking the cat playing dead though. She's
Yeah.
just like,
I'm waiting
Yeah, that's Pip. That's little Pippin. Zadorok named him. He named him. Where is he? Oh wait, the camera's changing. He's wandering off. Pip.
he said,
He's
"Don't
got,
judge me," and he just left.
Yeah, he's got a couple dots on him that reminded her of pips on a dice. So that was his name, is Pip. So we call him, Pip or Pippin. But yeah, no, I was showing off the Pendragon. I just got those in.
Yeah. I'm expecting mine on Monday.
Nice.
You got
For
what?
some reason, I've been
Starter set?
tracking it right. So it was in Philadelphia on the 4th. So I was like, okay, that's not too bad.
You'll
It
probably
should
get
be-
it tomorrow. You'll probably get it Monday.
Oh no, yeah, I'm supposed to get it tomorrow, but it was in Philadelphia on the 4th, and I was like, all right, then why is it coming on Monday? I was like, it should be here by by Saturday. Should have been here yesterday. So then I see and I looked at it and I was like, well, where is it now? It's saying it's going to be here on Monday, and then I checked to see, and it went from Philadelphia to Florida. So
What?
now it's in Florida, and then it's still going to be delivered tomorrow, but it arrived to Florida yesterday. And so I was like,
Why?
but I've seen that before with the United States Postal Service. It's like they put things on certain routes and everything like that, and they sometimes don't make any rhyme or reason. I've watched things go from Connecticut to Philadelphia and then to me.
Back to Kentucky and then back to
like right past me, kind of thing. I was like, no, it was in the next town over. Why is it going to a different state now just to come to me 2 days later? So it's not. It just is what it is. But
I've seen that as well. No, I got the Paul. I got the starter set, the boxed little starter set. I got the actual core rule book and the Game Master's Guide for this version of Pendragon. It's a good company, so if it's a good company, I'm all in. And even if I don't quite need it, I get it.
Yeah.
I buy it. I purchase. I show my support through my monies. I'm sure you've picked up with Columbia Games, Harn Master. I'm all in.
Yeah.
I do the Harn Quest. I own every physical copy that I've been purchasing since 2015. I own all of it. I own all the PDF. Same with Kenzer Co. with Hackmaster, that kind of stuff. I get it all. I'm all in. If I like the product, I like the people, I've met the people, I talk with the people, I'm all in. You have my support.
Yeah, a lot of these are cheap on Amazon. I was seeing that the Game Master's book for Pendragon's like 25% off, but then I remember every book, hardcover book that I order from Amazon, they're just like, All right, let's get a box that's about 5 times too big and throw it in by itself. There you go. Good
Yeah,
luck. They're like,
no.
oh,
And
Amazon.
they become dinged, right?
I will
Yeah.
say, I say to people that
Yeah.
don't, they're like, "Oh, I don't use Amazon," blah blah blah. I says Amazon's got a great search algorithm. When you want to buy something or think of something you might need or want, go on Amazon, look it up, and then look who makes it, and go directly to the people that make it and buy that from them. If you want to actually support outside of Amazon, the people that actually make whatever product you're looking for. The great search algorithm.
see, Edgelord has no one but himself to blame. It was all those evil campaigns. All the righteous knightly players don't want to play Pendragon with an evil player.
Yeah, you know what? It's like I'm of two minds with that. So it's like once I get my copies of it and everything, if you want to run it online, I'll play in your game. So yeah, running online is the the real way to get things. To get players to play different things.
Or
So yeah, so if you're not running online, yes, it's going to be very difficult sometimes to get some of these non-mainstream games some playing time on them. The second thing I'll say is that like every 10 months or so, I will, I tell my players like every 10 months or so, or certainly on like a new season, a new year of running games, it's like I may change what game we're running, because it's like, I want to try other things too. I want to run other things too. And I make that decision. It's like, hey, if all 8 of you still want to be here, my Tuesday night games or my Thursdays or whatever, my Saturday, Thursdays and Saturdays alternate. It's like when I decide that what I've played this thing now run this thing now for 10 months or 12 months, and I want to move on to some another system, another genre, another whatever, and I make that decision as a game master. It's like this is what I'm running on my table.
And you know what I
hope you
found
all want to stay.
that can be fun for everyone and player friendly, even though you're not, as DMs we're not. Anyways, all right, we're doing. Let's just say as an example, we're doing AD&D. We've run this. We're at 8th level, 10th level, whatever level with your characters. And you know what? I'd like to do an OSC kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the genre isn't a drastic shift. We can even carry on the story per se and the characters per se, as long as we agree to the rules shift per se to the characters. And you guys can still play, John Smith the fighter, or Freddy Fast Fingers the thief, and just carry it over. And we're still playing new rules. We're having fun, and we're carrying on with it.
Yeah, playing evil characters well is a lot of fun. I will admit that Edgelord King, yeah, playing evil characters, it can be a lot of fun, but oftentimes they end up falling to other evil characters in the group. So which is also a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm not familiar with this here. So Raiders of Enterone, the Glane campaign. I'm not familiar with that, Stephen. Perhaps it's a joke.
I've never heard of that
he's
one
making. Yeah, I've never heard of it. But
I was going to suggest that, heck, worst case scenario, if you cannot get anyone to play your game, and it may not be your thing, but I throw it out there, play it solo. Just get a bunch of characters, find yourself a good oracle, and then just have at it. Again, I understand it. It's not a thing everyone likes to do, but it's a growing thing that's been happening in the hobby now. I mean, I do it. And I'm going to be, I'm actually in the process of making a dungeon for another game. So I'm going to be soloing that with some characters so I can stat out the rooms and figure out how it all works. So
it's a very good inspirational tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I will say that. I don't do solo like I mean I do, but I don't. It's a very good inspirational tool for when you want to have others around at the table. It's like, okay, I kind of get a better feel for this dungeon or Hamlet Village with this area.
Mhm.
And oh wow, I never thought of that. I rolled it up, via the Oracle, and well, okay, it is a very, very solid inspirational tool.
Yeah, it's like
Great
it's just
debate which evil alignment is the best. Um, I mean,
I'd say I
lawful
would say
evil is probably the easiest to play well.
mhm.
Um, yeah, well, lawful evil for parties. I would say that too. Yeah.
Paul looks
Um,
lawfully full with that red glow from his screen. It's like, okay,
um,
Biden.
yeah, it's like lawful evil definitely is probably the best of them. Followed by neutral evil. Chaotic evil is so tough to actually play well because most people just think it means that you're chaotic stupid and you're you're never making any other kind of a choice and everything. I have a problem with just the two axis alignment system to begin with, because nothing is ever so well seated into those just two elements of a character personality, or character motives or whatnot. So, but I would still lean towards lawful evil being the best, the easiest of the evils to run.
Yeah, I usually, if I ever play like my tiefling, if I ever do play tiefling characters, depending on the game that allows them, it's
Mm.
either they are just full on neutral, or depending
Yeah.
on the motive behind them. Like I have one tiefling that is very much lawful evil, whereas he stays within the confines of the law, but everything is a means to his own end.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, they're the least obvious, right? So they're the least obvious of the three.
I think that
Yeah.
that was
Well,
one of the really cool things was Palladium's system for alignments, where you
there
Mhm.
had
is
like scrupulous, unscrupulous, miscreant, and all that. It was more of like how does your character act, as opposed to this weird metric that he pretty much pulled from what was that? Who was writing all those? Was that no? That wasn't Moorcock. Was it the guy that did
Kevin
Quorum and
Simbia.
no. The guy who did Quorum and all them, and it was like you
Yeah,
had the Eternal Champion and all those. I think it might have been Moorcock, yeah, where it was law
Yeah.
versus chaos.
yes.
Yeah. So
I do actually have to rephrase that because I'm currently working on a solo old school essentials modern necessities game. So it's OSE but set with the modern day rules made by the Scrying Dutchman. And
Yeah.
I have a tiefling vigilante, so his alignment is lawful because of that.
Mm.
No,
Plenty of
Paul, jumping back to you. Yeah, Palladium, years and years ago when I stumbled upon Palladium, um, yeah, that was pretty much even in my AD&D, D&D games and whatever. I said the alignment system, we're using Palladium.
yeah.
Yes, as far as spells and this and that, I mean, you can easily make sense of it and say, okay, lawful cleric, or
let me take a look and
uh,
and
but
see.
yeah, Palladium's lawful or alignment system
Hmm.
or alignment guidelines, whatever. One of the tops, in my opinion, that I've come across. I agree. It gives a more of a definition, more of a clear statement of, hey, this is pretty much what you're gonna do, how you're gonna be when you're playing this character under this alignment description.
Yeah, so here it says here, so neutral. First of all, there is no such thing as an absolute or true neutral.
No, you're a
All
rock
people
on the
tend
ground.
towards good or evil or self-gratification. All right, so an absolute true neutral could not make a decision, go on an adventure, kill, or take any action of any kind without leaning towards good, evil, or self-gratification. So yeah, you're right. It says like good alignments. So they'll give the
Yeah, read through them.
principled, scrupulous, principled good, scrupulous good, and they give you the 10 different variants of it or explanations of it. Selfish alignments, but not necessarily evil, unprincipled, selfish, what unprincipled characters would do, what anarchist, selfish would do. Evil alignments, you have miscreant, aberrant, and diabolical. Miscreants are evil. Aberrant are characters will always keep his work of honor. He is honorable. Will always keep his work. It says work. It should be word.
It should be word, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aberrant was kind of like a neutral-ish, like it wasn't generally
Yes.
evil. They followed like their own code. That was like, you'd
Yeah.
see that a lot in sci-fi, like an alien would show up.
Among
like,
thieves.
Yes, yeah,
something
and
like
it says that specifically. Yeah, I'll look into that, and that's
Yeah, for real,
that's
Richard. You should.
Yeah.
They are a really good. It's a again.
Yeah, I've seen other places where they'll give you fictional characters that fall within each of the alignments and everything like that, and it's like, all right, that's a pretty cool thing too, because if you're very familiar with those fictional characters, like Conan the Barbarian is listed as chaotic neutral. All
Yep.
right. Under those, and most people wouldn't think, because he does have an honor code, that he does follow, and yet he could still be chaotic, in the fact that he's still capable of following an honor code, even though he's chaotic neutral. But it's an interesting thing. That's why I said it's like I've always had trouble with the 2-axis alignment system, because it doesn't leave enough room for nuance, and
Right.
that's what I think most people end up doing with their characters. I think most people that role play well, have a good idea of what their characters' motives are and how they behave and act, and especially over a long-term period of time, they won't be able to say, oh, he's definitely lawful good, and there's no deviation in that. No, there's always some flexibility in there.
Just want to correct something quick in the chat. It is not Hawkwind. Hawkwind is the English space rock band. You guys are thinking of Hawk Moon, which is Michael Moorcock. Yeah.
For all we know,
Hawkwind. Wait a minute. I remember those album covers.
Could be Hawk Tua.
Oh no.
Oh Lord, young man. Oh Lord.
I had a mace I made in
That was a good
Skyrim
one.
that had the soul sucking property. So when I killed a person, it took their souls for my gems, and I called it the Hawk Tua mace because it literally sucked the soul out of people.
That's a funny name. I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, no, the Palladium alignment system is a really good one. I enjoy, again, oh no, I'm gonna say Harn. The Harn Master's got a good one for their alignment, how it's determined. You can either choose it, it's a scale per se, or you can roll your alignment. It's 3d6, and it's a scale, and then as you play, if you want to be a little bit more good, better, you can, for role play purposes, you can try and do and be better, and you can go up that scale. Or if you want to end up being an evil SOB, you can go down that scale. I call it a scale, but it's a 3 through 18 kind of chart kind of thing. I do enjoy something like that as well. A little wiggle room, a little more for role play, a little character growth, development, whatever.
I've been more prone for the Dungeons and Dragons original edition, the white box rules in general, just because of how not really rules light, but rules simple. As I refer to it as, and just how more open it is, and how easy it is to convert it with other settings, and to take stuff from it and put into other systems if we want to. I'm having fun with the Barrows of Borderlands game, since it's a OE clone, of just seeing how much of it I can take and put into other games. Like for the dungeon that I'm going to run solo through to try to work on what's in it, I'm actually taking the races from that, and I'm using basic fantasy to run them through this dungeon, because I've always wanted to try to test out play basic fantasy, and I've never had a chance to. So
nice. How's that going? Yeah, are you put it to the table per se?
I have the characters made. I just got to start running it at some point. I have a fairy thief that when I rolled for his charisma, I rolled a 3 because I rolled 3 1s. But a fairy gets +2 to their charisma, so my fairy thief has a 5 in charisma.
Well, I mean, he's
I mean, honestly, a 5 charisma for a thief character, I think that's acceptable.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing with charisma. I'm sure Paul and Richard would agree. Charisma is actually 2 stats in 1. I always liked a game that had looks and charisma. I knew a guy, I went to high school with him, grew up with him. He was like a brother. He was ugly as a toad, but he could get laid left and right.
There is
you know what I'm saying? So charisma
is
kind of a match of looks and your charm. It's kind of that's the way it is for those games or whatever. But man, this guy, he wasn't that ugly, but he was by no means. If you or I or any broad would look at him, they'd be like, he's an average dude. He would win bets left and right, and he was not rich. He didn't, wasn't like holding a bunch of drugs or anything. He didn't have anything extra. And dude, I'm telling you, brother, that guy would go home with just about any broad he would see, and it'd be like, dude, what do you?
Just the way it goes. I mean, it's got the lure of the animal. You can't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's the thing, like I was saying, some games, they have looks and charisma as a separate stat. He's not that good looking, but man, can he charm the pants off anybody. And not just saying sexual, he can talk his way out of a situation. He's got that charisma, but he's just an average Joe Schmo like all of us here. But man, he can talk his way out of a situation.
Yeah. It's but basically this dungeon I'm working on, because Barrows of Borderlands is more that science fantasy, and of course I'm using Barrows of Borderlands as an example, but this dungeon is also going to be OSR compatible with any OSR game you want. But it's basically an abandoned science lab that they discover, and basically all the monsters are some versions of failed science experiments that just got out and have wreaked havoc in this 5-level science lab. And I already statted out the big bad that they're going to be facing at the bottom of this abandoned laboratory, because the levels go down instead of in. So it looks big on the outside, but then it's kind of like if you flipped a ziggurat upside down, basically.
Yeah, okay, like a funnel, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the bottom level is just this one giant expansive laboratory where the big bad will await them, and I'm not giving it away.
Nice. That'll be fun. I'm hopeful. The players, everyone has fun. That's awesome. It sounds cool.
I know Matthew Tapp, the creator of Bears of Borderlands, he's wanted to do like a little like a little digital magazine, like some other people have been doing. And I'm probably gonna put the Big Bag Monster stat in that magazine, so that way people want to take it and run it for their other games, they can. But it's also going to help promote. But it's going to be part of promote. Like, hey, here's this dungeon that's this monster will be featured in coming up too soon. So
Cool. Good luck. I hope that happens.
Okay.
it's very quiet.
So yeah. It's
World.
and actually, I'm going to have to wrap up in a few minutes. So
Sure.
that's what I just sent you all a little message. So, so getting back to where we were, discussing. So, yeah, a lot of new stuff coming down the pike with the way that Hasbro, I guess, or Wizards of the Coast is looking at they're looking forward of D&D and where it's going to stand and everything like that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be they've been saying it for a long time anyway, that it's going to be digital only. I think that their primary issue was just shipping costs and the fact that their manufacturing and coming from China has never been all that great anyway. Their material qualities and everything has been always a mess, and so I can certainly see them moving in that direction, but I don't think that it's going to make their product any more viable by just going digital only. Especially the fact that they do not go PDF. Not going PDF is basically, I understand. I understand the stuff can get stolen and, printed out there and shared and everything like that. But they're not going to be able to sustain the numbers going to just that model.
It's the wrong, I'll say this real quick. It's the wrong kind of gatekeeping.
It's the wrong kind of monetization. That's the bottom line. It's not a traditional model for what people look for a tabletop role-playing game.
We're not doing PDF. We're not doing PDF, so you can't steal it. You can't thieve it. You can't, dude. Come on. Like,
still the biggest elephant in the room. That's pretty much it. Like,
you're not gonna like
95% of the market. So
they're doing everything they can to make sure that they're not any longer. That's the thing is that plus they've lost quite a bit of market share actually. So I don't think that they're, but
where are they going though? Is the thing. Where are these people going to other RPGs, or are they just quitting the hobby altogether?
Or they're staying with their 5e and they're playing at home. But I've seen at conventions that their representation of table time is shrinking. All right, it's less than 50%. When you look at overall all the tables, and you don't have to attend a convention at all. You can actually go onto their, whether it's tabletop or whatever, wherever they're advertising their game sessions, and you can just do a search for the various game types. So if you type in there D&D 5e, it's going to give you a number of sessions, right? It'll show you, 10 per page and however number of pages and everything. And let's say you come up with like 45 sessions. All right. Then if you type in AD&D first edition, all right, you're going to see, 18 sessions, let's just say, in comparison. You put in Shadow Dark and you're going to see, 80 sessions. All right, they do surpass 5e in certain categories. Or if you combine them up, like if you just did OSR, you're gonna dwarf 5e at
Sure.
conventions now.
Right.
Or really the last 2 years or so, I've been watching that trend. They are getting surpassed by if you just did old school D&D and you're including BECME and AD&D first edition and AD&D second edition, then those are equal to 5e. All right, at least back in 2024, they were equal to. They might have surpassed at this point because 5e is declining. And that to me is the real measure of how much how healthy a particular game product is do you see it being played at a convention? All right. And when you go on a convention floor, there are certain game systems that you're absolutely going to be seen playing there, and I'm talking about small conventions, mid-sized conventions, and large conventions. And you have to exclude the separate room, theory of it, right? So like in Gen Con, right? There was 1,100 game sessions of 5e at Gen Con. Several hundred more than anybody else. All right. But they're doing that as part of Adventure League. So it's like people are going there to play in tournaments. That's not the same thing as someone organically going to Gen Con and saying, I'm going to run 5e.
Yeah, I got a cool module, cool adventure idea for a couple hours.
I want to run this for people I've chosen to do this. No, those are people participating in organized play. And that's a totally separate thing. It should be categorized separately so that you can see when I go out onto the open floor, these are the game systems that I'm going to be seeing playing there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'll give a rough analogy real quick. It's kind of like how many people go to the park and play basketball, or how many professional sports events of basketball, or high school events of basketball. Same thing. It's like, come on. What's
I know. Yeah. And I try not to go too negative, and I'm trying not to, but I'm just talking about numbers. I'm just talking about what you see, out there.
Isn't Troll Lord Games trying to set up a organized play now though?
Yes, they do
for Castles.
They are, and so was Shadow Dark, so was Shadow Dark.
Yeah, so I think it's that's kind of, they're looking at that as almost kind of like a level of legitimacy, having like a official play whatever thing. So
Shadow Dark is certainly looking to do that and doing it. Actually, the convention I'm going to in April, Rising Phoenix has a Shadow Dark tournament going on. I'm actually one of the GMs for it.
Cool.
Oh, he's still talking music. Okay, I thought he was talking about the shift to negativity.
Eternal Champions. Oh, that's a good band. That's a fun band. Paul, may I ask, what is your cat's name, sir?
Oh, this is Tila, like from Masters of the Universe.
Tila, nice.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to go the H.P. Lovecraft cat name.
Oh yeah, this is N-word man. Yeah. Oh, it's N-word man. Why would you name your cat that? Well, H.P. Lovecraft.
I think if I ever had a cat, I would probably, if I was allergic to them, I'd call it Spawn, because most cats are demon spawns.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I have. Well, yeah, we have a lot of cats. We're the crazy cat people here. So, but anyway, that's cool.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for the great discussion and everything. I know we kind of, we hit a few different topics there, but that's what open mic is for. And I'm going to wrap this one up. I have to get up really early tomorrow morning, and my daughter has got to leave tomorrow at like 6:30 in the morning. So you all have a good one. Everyone in the chat, thanks for stopping in. And this thing will go. It doesn't go live because this is live, but I mean, by tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, it'll be available to watch or rewatch on YouTube. So you all have a great one, everyone, and thanks for stopping in. And you all take care, and I'll see you next week with a joint discussion on AD&D Second Edition with myself and Condor DM. That should be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it. You all have a great one.
Thanks for having me, brother. Love you
I
guys.
will pray for you. I will pray for you.
No, it should be good. It should be good. We'll see. I have very I'm I have very thick skin, and although we've been actually chatting very well since he went on Max's show. I think that's what really opened the door for some other conversations to take place, and we'll see. I do expect that it'll be very cordial and informative, because I'm looking to learn quite a bit about Second Edition and what in his mind makes that edition stand out. So it should be fun. All right. So you all have a great